Good afternoon. Welcome to Culebra, the beautiful little island off the coast of Puerto Rico, really between Puerto Rico and St. Thomas. Let's go. Fuel on, rotating beacon on, mixture is rich, carb heat's cold, master and battery switches on, there is no fuel pump, don't need to prime, let's crack the throttle, propeller area is clear. Alright, starter on, then magneto's back to both, let's check the oil pressure is looking good. 1200 RPM is fine. There's no fuel pump to turn off. Let's lean the mixture for taxi. Remember, you cannot lean the mixture too much. You can't lean the mixture too much. Let's turn our nav and strobe lights on. Let's turn our taxi lights on. 122.8 for comms here. Unicom. It's actually CTAF, really. And what is the difference between Unicom and CTAF? On CTAF, you broadcast without expecting a reply. Whereas, let's see, 1015 for the QNH. Whereas on Unicom, you are expecting a reply. 1015 is looking good. We are looking today for another abandoned airport, and this one is on the island of Puerto Rico. And if you can't tell, I am Googling it right now so I can tell you what it is. It is Diego Jimenez Torres Airport in Fajardo, Puerto Rico. And yeah, let's see if we can go find this baby. I have a decent idea of where it is. I don't really know that well, but alright, brakes are engaged. Let's release the parking brake. I was kind of hoping there would be we're moving here. Let's test the brakes. Brakes are working. Let's hope we don't decapitate this gentleman here. I was kind of hoping that there would be more abandoned airports. Let's see, looks like we got a left. Looks like the wind is... I don't know if the windsock is maybe backwards, because .140 is what, well, no, not really. St. Thomas is calling 140 at 12 knots. So it should be, I mean, this is kind of actually a quartering tailwind. And I think with a quartering tailwind, you should taxi with the nose down and away from where the wind is coming, but I don't know for sure. I should know. I should, but I don't. Alright, let's get right here. Alright, let's turn the taxi light off, turn the landing light on. I don't see any traffic on the iPad. Alright, landing light is on. Mixture is rich. Let's see. Trim is set for takeoff. Alright, mixture's rich, carb heat's cold. Let's hit the road here. Culebra traffic, Cessna 4753 X-ray taking runway 13 for departure to the west. Culebra. Alright, so it says runway 13 right there, so we really can't get that wrong, can we? Heading indicator checks with the runway number. Alright, takeoff power is coming in. Start with the right rudder. Takeoff power is set. Engine instruments are in the green. How could they not be? Alright, airspeed is alive. 60, 65, and rotate. I don't know why, but for some reason this plane quite often requires left rudder on takeoff, which of course it should require right rudder. Oh, you see all the boats buried in the water here, and in the scenery. Unfortunately, it's kind of one of those weird features of Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't know why it does that. Somebody explained it to me once, but I didn't quite grasp it. Alright. We are airborne here. And we can begin our turnout. Should be a lovely day for flying. Gosh, what a beautiful day, huh? Look at that, the sun shining. Culebra traffic, Cessna 4753 X-rays on a right crosswind departure off runway 13 departing to the west. Culebra. And I just figured out what pressing that button also does. Look at that water, how cool is that? Alright, 1500 climbing 3000. And let's see here. One thing I forgot to click was that. Perfect. There's the airport we just took off out of. And I do suspect we will return to for landing. Look at this. I wonder if that's clouds from the satellite image, hard to tell. But look at all these water kind of feature here. Really kind of interesting. I would suspect this is cloud because you see that. Not a beautiful airplane. I think that's a cool looking airplane. Anyway. Climbing to 3,000 feet. Probably not entirely necessary. Although I just like having is Vieques. I like having some altitude underneath me when I'm going over water. I think that's a pretty smart plan. So 50 feet below our assigned or our desired altitude. We'll Push the nose down to level flight. Pull the power back until we hear a legitimate drop. I talked about that the other day in a video. It's one way that some people do it. They pull the power back until they get an audible reduction in the engine sound, and oftentimes that's pretty much spot on. I'm aiming for 2400. Look at that, spot on. So how cool is that? That worked pretty well. Just gotta keep an eye on the vertical speed because that's gonna want to climb again, I do believe. And it looks like it's settling again. St. Thomas there in the background, you know, back there behind Culebra. There is, you might be able to see right off the tail there, you can see a little bit of St. Thomas. There's Vieques. It's pretty cool. And in front of us is the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. Look at that. My sound idea worked like a charm. So, does this have an EGT gauge? I forget. I would kind of be surprised if it did. Probably ought to know that, huh? Seeing as I'm flying this airplane. Probably one of those things that's worth knowing. Get your fuel quantity gauges. Alright, so. So what do we know about our destination? So Diego Jimenez Torres Airport, Fajardo, Puerto Rico. Small general aviation airport on the northeast side of Puerto Rico. Established 1962. Disappeared sometime around 2008. Let's see what the runway looks like here. What do we got? Runway 26, runway 826. So I think what we can do here about 10 miles out, we can wait a little bit before we start descending. Looks like it's just south of the city of Fajardo. I don't know whether it's a city or more of a village. It looks like it's decent size here. So far, we're 1 for 2 in discovering abandoned Caribbean airports. And if you guys know of any abandoned Caribbean airports, please do let me know, because or anything else maybe that you'd like me to go find. See if I can locate. I wonder what these little islands are over here. Like a good place to spend an afternoon, right? Alright, so I see what appears to be Fajardo right there. Let's bring the... use the same concept, just going to reduce power until I hear a change in the engine sound. And let's see. So Fajardo is there. Let's see. Oh, okay. So I think I'm in good shape. I'm looking at an old sectional chart. Put the carb heat on here. I'm looking at an old sectional chart that shows where the airport was. And I think it's like kind of right over here. Yeah, is that it right there? Let's see, what's my heading? That might be it. Or that might be it. I'm not really sure. Or that's it right square in front of me. That would appear to be it, folks. This is Fajardo. And yes, I do butcher the Spanish language. My apologies to any Spanish-speaking viewers. There's the new airport that replaced it. I don't know. Ah, look at that. Yeah. My girlfriend is originally Venezuelan. And she has, or we have, a ton of, a lot of Spanish-speaking friends. And one would think that might rub off on me, but one would be wrong. So here it is. This is clearly it. Make sure I don't hit anything here. And I think carb heat is on. We just are going to go land there. That's just what we're gonna do. The airport that replaced it is Jose Aponte de la Torre in Ceiba, probably not pronounced that way. Alright, let's see. It's right over there. Alright. Let's pull the nose up here until we get into flap range. Put in that first notch of flaps. Degrees. Let's put in that second notch of flaps, and we'll make our turn in here. It's kind of the fun thing about landing at these abandoned airports is you don't have to call your place in the pattern, do you? Because there's nobody here. At least there shouldn't be. I shouldn't be here.
500.
Alright. Should be a bit of a right crosswind. It should make it quite easy to make this base turn to final here. I'm going to put the power nice and low. That'll help us get down. It kind of makes me sad to see these airports no longer here, because you know there's so many stories of, like, you know, guys who learn to fly here and probably have a lot of nostalgia for this airport. And there's probably some people who are still wondering why somebody insisted on closing it, but you know what? Battle we often lose in aviation, unfortunately. Alright. That was not the world's greatest crosswind landing. Though I did touch down correctly. Still have, I mean, that was a pretty good crosswind too. Let's lean the mixture. There's nobody here, so I don't have to worry about. So let's lean the mixture for taxi. Carb heat is cold. And let's take a quick turnaround here. And not really much to see. Not really a whole lot to see here. Still got that windsock. Looks like we got a taxiway over there. Like I said, that was not the world's greatest crosswind landing. And what do you say we go land in Vieques? Alright. Yeah, you can see the taxiway over there to our right. And let's go land in Vieques. So weather in Vieques 10012. Runway 09er. So just go straight over, I don't know. Do we want to go back to Vieques? Or do we want to go back to Culebra, rather? Do we want to go to Vieques? I can't decide, because Culebra is kind of... See where this is where the taxiway comes into to the runway. Because Culebra is pretty cool, but you know what? I landed at Vieques very early on in my Microsoft Flight Simulator days. I haven't landed there since. So let's go to Vieques. Alright, mixture is rich. Carb heat is cold. Masters. What am I doing? I'm going through my startup checklist in my head. So let's get on center line, runway 08. Checks with the heading indicator. Takeoff power is coming in. Takeoff power is set. Engine instruments are in the green. A left rudder, which makes no sense at all. Airspeed is alive. 65 knots. See, when I take off, see how the plane was kind of banked and yawed to the left there? It's because, it should be right rudder on takeoff. One of the things from that doesn't really work very well in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I can see why maybe they wanted to move this airport. The Cessna 150 in this heat, you're not going to clear that hill by very much, are you? Well, a couple of things in Microsoft Flight Simulator that are confounding, if nothing else, is that the ground handling for crosswinds is just not correct. Let's just be clear about that. It is just not correct. Plain and simple. I don't even bother trying anymore. Which is probably not good, because that's going to give me some bad habits when I get back into a real airplane. But the other thing is, I don't want to come along and skirt right over, basically over top of this other airport. Because that way I am unlikely to be in anybody's way. That's a good trick. Not really a trick. But if you rather than going that way over towards Puerto Rico, over towards Vieques, where I put myself in the situation that if there is somebody coming in on final, first of all, they wouldn't be landing on this runway. But, or if there was somebody taking off, that's a much more better explanation. We'll level off here at 2000 using the sound method. That would mean that I would be right in the kind of the crosshairs of the. That sound method really works pretty well. I'd be right in the path, right in the takeoff path, departure path of that runway, which is precisely where you don't want to be. So what do? Just go fly over the top of the airport. And you do this. Ceiba Airport, Cessna 4753 X-ray is overflying the field north to south, 2,000 feet, Ceiba. And of course, I'm guessing that the town is called Saba. It might be Cheba, or I don't know. Oftentimes on the radio, people refer to the airport by the city or town that it's in. But see, by flying over the top of the airport like this, I'm not going to be in the way of departing traffic or landing traffic. And that's what I want. I want to be out of the way. Alright, so now that we've done that, let's get back here to what we are trying to do, and that is to go land at Vieques. And make our radio call here in a minute. I haven't really done a lot of exploring of Puerto Rico, and I should. It's probably pretty cool. Vieques traffic, Cessna 4753 X-ray is 10 miles to the northwest, inbound for runway 9er, Vieques. So, I think if I kind of aim for sort of between that's Culebra, where we took off from right there, so you see it in the clouds a little bit. If I aim right over here, I think I'm going to be in pretty good shape for a nice final approach here. This is Antonio Rivera Rodríguez International Airport on the island of Vieques. The airport is right past that. You see that, I don't know what they call it, a causeway, that dock extending out into the water. Can't really see it too well. You can see it right there. The airport is right along that. Right there. See that? I mean, I think Puerto Rico looks pretty neat. I think we're gonna go do some exploring in Puerto Rico. There's also a couple small airports in Puerto Rico, which I think are worth checking out. What do you guys think? Alright, so we're going to make our power reduction. See that, and you just do it until you hear a change in the sound and the pitch of the plane, the engine. Alright. It's been a while since I've landed at this airport. So, weather is, no, we don't have weather, but 10012 looks like about what we're looking for, which is great. Good weather, good wind for us. I aim kind of right for that green patch there. Vieques traffic, Cessna 4753 X-ray is on a 5-mile left base for runway 09er, Vieques. I'm not really on a 5-mile left base, I'm sort of on a 5-mile left base. I'm actually on a perfect 45. Which, technically speaking, I shouldn't be on. I don't see any traffic. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think I actually have a scenery for this airport, and that dock there. If I do have it and I haven't used it, I will feel kind of silly because it would have been cool to use. One of these things when I sometimes I'll load Flight Simulator and I'll only load certain airports, and then I'll get in here and decide to do something different, and I don't have the airport I need loaded, which is kind of silly. Alright, mixture is rich, carb heat is on. I don't see any traffic. Alright, we're looking pretty good here. Vieques traffic, Cessna 4753 X-ray is on a 3-mile final runway 9er, Vieques.
Caution, TFR ahead.
Uh-oh. Well then. A TFR is a temporary flight restriction. And my guess is around Vieques it is not temporary. What it probably is a restriction around a U.S. military facility.
1 mile final runway 09.
See somebody taking off there. Alright, let's go. First notch of flaps. Let's go second notch of flaps. My guess is TFRs are usually around, like, they can be around sporting events, they can be around Vieques traffic, Cessna 4753 X-ray short final runway 9er Vieques. They can be around like I said, sporting events or major, political events. They can also be around sensitive government facilities. And in this case, I think it's probably around the military base, U.S. military base. Okay, let's try to make this one a good one. We have not done that. It wound up being a decent landing in the end, but it was not. I don't know. I think I've gotten a little bit gamey in this simulator, and what I mean by that is, let me lean the mixture here, put in the carb heat. What I mean by that is I think I've gotten just a little bit loosey-goosey, kind of having fun, and not really making sure I'm on my airspeeds, that I'm on glide path, on, that approach I came in high, got my flaps in pretty late. Airspeed was alright, but then I pulled the power. Vieques, traffic Cessna 4753 X-rays, clear the runway, Vieques. Pulled the power, and when I did that, nose came down, and I picked up airspeed. And it was that airspeed that when you go to flare, and you pull the nose up, if you got too much speed, the airplane still wants to fly. Well, the point of landing is to stop flying. And one way to have a piss poor landing is to have too much airspeed. That's a great way to have a terrible landing. And so I think I have just gotten a little bit out of routine, so to speak. And perhaps I'll pull over here and park. Perhaps I need to get myself refocused a little bit. Mixture to idle cutoff, throttle is idle, carb heat is off. Flaps are not up. Flaps are now up. Let's put on the parking brake. Let's turn our lights off. Let's turn the master and battery switches off. So I think I need to get a little bit back to focusing on flying a little bit more. I mean, I'm getting myself into these airports just fine, but these landings are just no good. And I think Microsoft Flight Simulator is good enough in terms of like aerodynamics and that not that it's like exact by any stretch, but it's good enough that if you're making a really, really poor landing in Microsoft Flight Simulator like that one I just did right there, chances are it probably wouldn't be too good in real life either. And aside from the fact that it's just one of the golden rules is a good landing is almost always the result of a good approach, and that just wasn't a good approach. And so perhaps it's a good idea to refocus a little bit on the fundamentals of flying, or at least include that focus in my flights. Anyway, this was pretty fun. We managed to find our second abandoned airport in the Caribbean. Hope you guys enjoyed it.